The story begins at a time when an alien species known as the Nostage had invaded our Earth. Due to the pollution caused by these Nostage, humans could no longer live on the surface of the Earth. They had built numerous bunkers underground where they lived comfortably. However, the army was determined to reclaim their planet from the Nostage at any cost. Therefore, periodically, groups of soldiers were sent to Earth to kill the Nostage and rescue those still living on the surface. We see several military soldier groups going out in this manner, tasked with helping the hidden people on the surface and killing the Nostage. Here, we are introduced to a soldier named Alan, who was assigned the task of spending 100 days in a nearby bunker. This was because there were certain activities occurring in the jungle that he needed to keep an eye on, and he had to inform the headquarters regularly about any updates. Alan arrives at the bunker, which is quite large. He was instructed to stay there for 100 days, but was not allowed to leave the designated area of the bunker. The bunker was equipped with numerous security cameras that continuously monitored everything. Any unusual activities detected by these cameras had to be reported by Alan. Alan made himself comfortable and stocked up on food and supplies for his 100-day stay, while also exploring the advanced bunker designed for human comfort. Alan diligently performed his duties and kept an eye on everything. One night, while Alan was on the terrace, smoking a cigarette, he had saved enough for the entire 100 days. Suddenly, he heard some noises coming from the bushes. He shined his light to investigate but saw nothing. He returned to the bunker for his routine checkup when he suddenly heard the sound of someone running. Upon checking immediately, he found a small white mouse darting into a hole. Although Alan wanted to catch the mouse, he was unsuccessful. Then, an announcement came through in Alan's bunker that a group of Nostage had recently attacked and killed several humans who were heading towards the headquarters. The possibility of Nostage being nearby was high, so Alan became even more alert. Alan continued to follow his routine diligently, eating, exercising, and conducting all the necessary checks. Before long, 15 days had passed. One day, Alan noticed something moving in the bushes on a nearby camera. He reported it to the headquarters, but the response was that no Nostage had been found in his area so far. It might be an animal. Alan didn't dwell on it and focused on his tasks. While eating, the same white mouse came to Alan and began squeaking. Alan immediately understood that the mouse might be hungry, so he gave it some of his food. The mouse ate peacefully, and it seemed that Alan and the mouse had developed a friendship as they no longer feared each other. It was nice for Alan to have a companion to spend time with. Alan then noticed that a camera in front of him had malfunctioned. He put on his radioactive suit and went outside to fix it. It appeared that someone had intentionally damaged the camera. Alan replaced it with a new one and got it working again. On his way back to the bunker, he noticed a locket hanging from a tree. Upon checking, he saw that it was labeled wax. Alan took the locket back to the bunker and asked the headquarters about it. He learned that Wax was the name of a soldier who had worked at this location before him but was replaced due to health issues. Time passed, and Alan had now spent a total of 65 days in the bunker. He continued with his routine checks in his area, moving forward as usual. Suddenly, Alan's system alerted him to the presence of toxic gases in the vicinity. He promptly inserted an oxygen tube into his suit to breathe properly. As Alan moved forward, he saw a Nostage in the distance that looked extremely terrifying. Alan, frightened, took a step back and started firing his gun at the Nostage, but it quickly disappeared. Alan reported these events to the headquarters once he returned to the bunker. The soldiers operating at the headquarters confirmed that no Nostage had been detected in his area so far. Alan felt that something was amiss, so he went to the part of the bunker where Wax's locker was kept. After breaking open the locker, Alan found some items belonging to Wax, including a book with drawings by Wax. It became clear that the white mouse was Wax's pet. The book also mentioned another nearby bunker where some secrets were hidden. Determined to uncover the mystery, Alan decided to investigate the second bunker without permission, even though his designated area was off-limits. As he reached the edge of his designated zone, the devices on his legs began to flicker, causing him significant pain. His suit warned him that he could not leave his designated area. Alan climbed to the top of a tree, holding Wax's locket, and showed it to the people in the second bunker, but there was no response. Feeling a bit disheartened, Alan returned to his bunker. He began reviewing all his recordings to understand what was happening in the area and to learn more about Wax. Suddenly, all the systems in the bunker began shutting down and the power went out. Alan noticed that the dangerous Nostage was right behind him. When he turned around, the Nostage had vanished. Terrified, Alan took his gun and went outside to hunt down the Nostage. He used flares to search for the creature, trying to locate where it had gone. Unfortunately, Alan found nothing during his search. He quickly returned to the bunker and contacted the headquarters, informing them that the power had gone out and asking for assistance. The headquarters responded that they would send a technician within a few days to fix the issue. With no other option, Alan had to wait. The lack of electricity made his day extremely difficult. Alan then noticed a signal on Wax's walkie-talkie calling out Wax's name. When Alan responded, the reply was that the caller only wanted to speak with Wax and asked to be put in touch with him if he arrived. Alan was puzzled by these communications and wondered where Wax had gone and where the Nostage had come from. Before long, 30 more days passed. While Alan was outside for his routine checkup, he heard the sound of a child crying. He followed the sound to a nearby cave and found a woman hiding with her daughter. Alan asked them to come to him so he could take them safely to the bunker, but the woman was so terrified that she fled with her child. Alan tried to stop them, but as he attempted to leave his designated area, the device on his leg was triggered, causing him severe pain. He couldn't leave his area, and to make matters worse, all his food for the 100 days had been exhausted, and he had been hungry for the past 2 days. Alan went into the forest to hunt for a wild animal and came across a deer. He shot it and began eating the raw meat of the deer, including its antlers. Later, Alan showed Wax's locket in front of the second bunker, hoping it would help in identifying him, but it seemed to have no effect. When Alan returned to his bunker, a technician had arrived, sent by the headquarters to fix the electricity problem. The technician worked diligently, and the power was restored soon after. When the technician saw the white rat, he told Alan that the same kind of rat had been with Wax, but he disliked rats intensely. When the white rat approached him, the technician swatted it away. Alan immediately went to his white rat, which had become completely unconscious. Alan was deeply emotional because this white rat was his only companion in this place. After a short while, the white rat opened its eyes. Alan was extremely angry and started attacking the technician, demanding that he apologize for harming his rat and reveal how to access the footage from the secret room's camera. The technician claimed he didn't have permission to do that, so Alan continued to beat him mercilessly. Alan was determined to access the camera footage no matter what. A fierce struggle ensued between them, and Alan became extremely aggressive, beginning to strangle the technician. After a while, Alan released him and asked if he had ever seen a Nostage. The technician explained that Nostages were so dangerous that anyone who saw them would not survive. He recounted a story about how years ago, he and his friend had encountered a Nostage, and his friend's ears had bled from hearing its terrifying voice. However, he was the only one who had managed to escape. Alan tortured the technician to extract all the passcodes necessary to acquire the security camera footage. Alan then reviewed the footage, which featured Wax. Wax had also spent 100 days in the bunker. In the early days, Wax's behavior was normal, but after 50 days of isolation, his behavior began to change. He started talking to himself and eventually revealed a dark reality in the camera footage, stating that there was no such thing as nostalgia. Wax screamed loudly, and the footage abruptly cut off. Alan now understood that perhaps there was no such thing as a nostalgia and that the military forces had spread this rumor for their own benefit. They wanted everyone to stay inside bunkers and acquire as much land as possible. To this day, only stories about nostalgias had been told. Their actual structure didn't exist. Alan wanted to prove to himself that there was no such thing as nostalgia, so he went into the jungle without wearing any protective suit. After going a short distance, a dark shadow began to follow him, causing Alan to run in fear. He remembered that he had left the deer antler outside, so he picked it up and thrust it into the dark shadow's body. After repeatedly stabbing it, the dark shadow fell to the ground and died. However, upon checking, Alan found that it wasn't a shadow but Wax in a costume. Alan was shocked because the military had said that they had contacted Wax and that he was safe. Alan was also extremely frustrated as he had killed an innocent person. It was now clear to Alan that no creatures called nostalgias had come to Earth. He returned to his bunker, suited up, and told the technician that he could leave if he wanted to. Alan then grabbed his weapons and headed towards the second bunker. However, as soon as he went beyond his designated area, the device on his leg was triggered again, causing him a lot of pain. Alan cut through several wires buried in the ground, eliminating the restricted area. He quickly reached the second bunker and discovered numerous body parts of soldiers scattered around. Suddenly, a loud noise began, causing blood to leak from Alan's ears. This was the same symbol of a sound that the technician had described, the deafening scream of a nostalgia that could rupture one's eardrums. Alan looked outside and saw that all the soldiers had arrived with their spaceships and were attacking the nostalgias in the jungle. Seeing this, Alan regretted doubting the existence of nostalgias. They did exist, and their screams had ruptured his eardrums. When Alan stepped out of the bunker, he saw the technician who had come to help him. However, a large nostalgia suddenly appeared behind the technician, captured him, and devoured him completely. Alan was astonished by the size and terrifying appearance of the nostalgia. The nostalgia then began to chase Alan, intending to attack him as well. Alan fled towards another bunker for protection, but the military's fighting jets were continuously attacking the nostalgia. Despite their efforts, the nostalgia, which was as large as a scorpion, was destroying the military jets with its claws. Alan reached a bunker, but found that his access code didn't work. Since the nostalgia was occupied with fighting the military jets, Alan managed to force the door open and ran inside the bunker. However, the frightening part was that the nostalgia had also broken into the bunker and was destroying everything in its path. With no other option, Alan stood in a corner and watched as the nostalgia approached him. For the first time, he saw a nostalgia so close. The nostalgia opened its enormous mouth and lunged at Alan. The scene then goes completely blank, marking the end of our adventurous story.